Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to a very special morning edition of Secretary of Shade. Now, I am taping this live, so I know a lot of you probably aren't here. You're at work, busy with your day, but I still wanted to touch base. Last night, we had a bit of a technical difficulty in the building where I shoot with the power. So we're here. Hey Kia, hey Volvo to Love, how are you guys doing? If you have not subscribed, if this is your first time joining the channel, make sure you do that at hit the bell at the top to subscribe. Follow me online at Dapper Dan Midas for all updates regarding Secretary of Shade. Hey Dina, hey Keish, friend, how y'all doing? I see all of y'all in the comments. I love when I get to do live. And today I had the opportunity this morning. I feel like I owe that to you because last night we had that mishap. But, you know, the past 2 weeks rather, has been very busy as it pertains to protesting, as it pertains to our country, our college students, and things like that. It's been a lot going on. And whenever we do this, whenever we meet, I always like to cover a myriad of topics. But these protests have basically taken over the news cycle. And we just got some breaking news about Joe Biden. Breaking news, and we'll get to that. Joe Biden calls longtime ally Japan xenophobic along with China and Russia. Girl, this is breaking news. I'm reading CBS. You're catching live on air foolishness. But we'll get to that. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. These protests. Now, we've looked into, the whole Israel and Palestine conflict for a while on this channel. Whenever we talk about Israel and Palestine, it is always like walking on eggshells, right? Because if you've watched the channel over the last few years that we've been doing this together, I'm very omniscient in how I view things. I like to view all sides. I want to see everything that's going on. And not as a justification for one side or the other, but just so that I have a clear understanding of what's going on. Because when two people are fighting and you don't know why, but I need to know what's going on. So college campuses across the country, it started last week was the first time I reported on it, but college campuses across the country have been basically in protest. And I get it. I totally get it. I absolutely get it. But I'm going to need these protesters, while I believe your cause is valiant, I believe your cause is righteous, I believe you do need to call attention and have, our government and colleges and organizations and companies answer for, why are we investing in the genocide of a group of people. However, if you're going to do that, don't do it in the scope of a first world country. Like, this is like, when people go camping and then there's glamping, this is giving glamping to me. Okay? This is giving mother glamp. Okay? It's not real camping where you're going out, got a shit in the woods and, you roughing it, fighting off bears and shit. This is kind of like protesting that's glamping where y'all got a mobile home, y'all got a plumbing system inside the mobile home. It's giving cute. Okay. It's giving very much of cute. Okay. And there's been protests. On the news outlets, they focus a lot on Columbia University in New York, right? But also too, you had protests at different colleges all across the country. You had University of Texas, Austin going in. You got USC going in. I mean, it's all different colleges going in. Now, what's interesting is how all of these. Thank you, Sylvie, Miss Sylvie, for that super chat. It's interesting how all of these colleges are dealing with handling the protests. New York, no surprise here, was the most liberal. I think water is wet. We get it. But Texas, let's start with Mother Tex. Okay, now, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, was not having it. He was like, y'all not going to fuck our shit up. Y'all need to wrap this shit up now and keep it moving. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Braxy, for the super chat as well. And keep it moving. Okay. Whereas in New York, they was kind of letting them chill for a minute. So what's interesting, when I say these protests are not, it's not giving, it's not camping, it's glamping. Here's why. Okay. So in Columbia, so little backstory. At Columbia University, the protesters, somebody in the protest camp went into this building called Hamilton Hall, which come to find out had been occupied and had some shit going on like back in the day too, right? So evidently Hamilton Hall, she's the girl to take over when you want to prove a point. So one of the activists, the protesters, hid inside of Hamilton Hall, let other protesters in, and they took over the building. Okay. Now, I get it. I'm not mad at it. It makes sense. However, you can't protest and then come out and ask people to send y'all food. Like, this is the shit I be talking about. When Martin Luther King and them was going on, we already had Big Mama and them, making plates, sandwiches and shit. We already had that shit together. Okay? We had chicken baskets. We had peanut butter and jelly. We had our shit together. How are you going to go vandalize these people building, take that shit over, occupy it, and then come have the awe and the audacity to come out and tell them, can y'all DoorDash or some motherfucker? I don't know. So let's take a look. This is coming from the Telegraph in the UK because the world is watching these. So a pro-Palestine Columbia University protester has been mocked for demanding the Ivy League school provide students who had occupied the building with food and basic necessities. Okay. Now, they came out and said that basically this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Okay. Basic humanitarian aid, which the protesters say the university is under obligation to provide. It's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? Johanna King-Slutsky, a representative for the People's University, a PhD candidate at Columbia's Graduate School of Arts and Science, and a teacher said, if the answer is no, then you should allow basic. I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water? This is right here. This shit right here. This shit right here. This is why don't nobody like America. Bitch, you a phony ass rebel. This shit is phony. Like this whole, all of this shit is phony. You take over somebody's shit, vandalize it, and we're not talking about your cause because I think speaking out against this is valid. Once again, I want to be very clear about that. But this shows that we're not really ready for hardship in this country. And when I say we're, I mean our young people. Because one thing that I've noticed, we're going to get a little commentary going here. One thing I'm noticing about this generation, and I'm not an old person, but I'm not a spring chicken either. Even though I don't look a day over 25, bitch. You know, he's seasoned. It's given I was born in the 80s. And what I'm finding, and it's something that I see a lot in young people coming up. I see a lot because I have friends who are teachers. I've done seminars and sessions with younger adults. Is they have this entitled sense of I can do whatever I want, and I can act grown, but you should still save me. I can say I'm grown, but you should still take care of me. And that is not okay. And I'm going to tell you, while you out here protesting for Palestine, which you should be because killing all of those people is terrible, once again, these other countries who live this kind of life every day are laughing at you. And you're not serious people. And you know, a very liberal person. I mean, look at me. Look at me. You know, you can't get more liberal leaning than me. But I also operate in the realm of right and wrong and common fucking sense. Also, too, as a black person in this country, I already know once we set it off, bitch, you ain't got no friends. You ain't got no friends. And what it's giving, and it's so sad, I hate having to go in like this, but what it's giving is I want to look like I did something. I want my viral moment on TikTok. Y'all might as well count down on that because that's about to be over in a minute. I want to feel like I'm doing something. Yes, Poison Polish Nail Company. In the 60s, they was really about that life. But it's giving, I want my viral moment. And it's starting to dive into the realm of being nonsensical. Like you're not serious people. Okay. And when I say not serious people, not that they're not genuine civil law. I do think that their intentions are genuine. However, if you really want to enact change in the form of a protest or demonstration or occupation, you need to have it together. This is giving flying by the seat of my pants. This is what this is giving. Now, I don't know. I got to research it, but somebody in the comments help me out. There was a protest, I believe, in South Korea or Taiwan. It was one of those countries in Asia where they protested and they had demonstrations recently. I think it was Taiwan not wanting to join China or something like that. But when I tell you their protests, their demonstrations were together. And those were young kids. Like they had they were using TikTok not for a viral moment or to take a picture just of what was happening, but they was passing, this is how you avoid you recover from tear gas or pepper spray. This is how you dodge facial recognition. This is how we coordinate. Like they had a coordinated effort that was together. They used the resources, but also too, this speaks to the issue with the United States and what's going on here. We don't know hardship like that in that capacity. When it comes to war, let's think about it. And I'm doing a deep dive here. We're going down this rabbit hole, but think about it, right? If you've ever traveled internationally to some other countries and places, you'll notice that their infrastructure in certain places is better. It's more modern. You go to Japan, it's together. The reason that is because these people have been bombed to death. Excuse me. They've been bombed to death. They've had wars. And when you have destruction at that level, the only thing you can do is rebuild. Outside of September 11th and the Civil War, there has been no major Pearl Harbor, maybe, but that was in one concentrated area as well. There has been no major war in America fought on American soil, which is why our infrastructure is falling apart, which is why our train and transit systems are terrible. Our bridges are easily getting knocked the hell over. Our everything about us is old because we haven't been touched. Our children don't know how to pivot in the moment because their lives have been so damn cushy. And America got shit with it. We all know that. We from here. But it's a difference in looking at these kids protest and looking at children around the world protest and pivot. And like I said, I think the cause is great. But just I would like to see, especially because this is happening on Ivy League campuses and things like that. I would expect a little bit more organization. Y'all out there with plywood and shit. Like, what the hell that's going to do? Police just ran right on. Damn, hell, the pro-Israeli protesters just ripped through that shit. So let's take a look into that, right? So, the pro-Israel protesters showed up. Okay. Now, this is coming from Salon. The attack came after UCLA had their. So, hold on. I'm sorry. And what one student group described as a despicable act of horror, pro-Israel activists dressed in black and wearing masks stormed barricades and attacked the pro-Palestine encampment just before midnight at UCLA. The Los Angeles Times reported Wednesday. So this happened like Tuesday night. The attack came after UCLA had declared the encampment unlawful and warned participants who were demanding the school divest from companies that do business in Israel that they could face expulsion. Okay? So, pro-Israel, so basically, they ran up on them in the middle of the night, like, bitch, it was given what you had said. What was you saying, niece? What did you say, bitch? That's what it was given. So the Jewish protests or pro-Israel protesters ran up on the pro-Palestinian protesters in the middle of the night and said, bitch, try it. That's what it was giving. Okay? That's what it was giving. It was giving, bitch, try it. Okay? Now, that was bound to happen. I'm not surprised that it happened. But you have to expect these things. I think that a lot of times in America, we do things and we have these knee-jerk reactions and then get outraged or appalled when we had the response that we had. And I'm going to be very honest right now, if I can be candid with y'all. I have Jewish friends. I have Middle Eastern friends. I have friends from all around the world in real life. And they ask me sometimes, well, I have one of them ask me, it was like, you know, when Black Lives Matter happened, we was out there marching with y'all, police brutality and things like that. Why y'all, why for the most part are Black people, African American people so quiet? And here's the thing, and I'm not speaking, I can't, it would be asinine of me to try to speak for all Black people, right? But I can speak for myself. And one thing is me as a Black man growing up in America, I don't like seeing any group being railroaded. When Hamas, attacked those innocent civilians in Israel, I thought that was terrible what they did to the babies. And I spoke out about that. But I also don't think that what Israel is doing to thousands of children and women is right. So I can't go out of my way and march for an atrocity or a crime against humanity just because you showed up. You showed up. Police brutality affects us all. And them protesters are finding that out, even though the police have been very soft with these kids because they understand the optics. So let's be real. How they handling these kids on these college campuses and how they handle protesters in Black Lives Matter and all of these other marches is totally different, niece. And that's on camera. Okay. But also, too, this conflict is so damn deep and has such long historic lineage. Where do we start? Because when you talk to both sides, there's no, like at this point, there's no reasoning at all. And I don't want to, and here's the thing, and this is why whenever we discuss this topic here on the show, I just report what happened. I try not to, when it comes to Palestine and Israel, I try not to insert too much of my personal opinion because I don't know if my personal opinion is skewed or well informed. And I don't like to speak on things I don't know. Okay. And so I can't just go out and say and be pro Israel when I'm looking at not only just local news, not only national news, but international news, and you have tens of thousands of people being killed. I can't vouch for that. But at the same time, while I don't condone that atrocity, it's not lost on me, and I'm going to keep it a buck. As a Black gay man, if my ass was in Palestine, I couldn't wear my nails. I couldn't have my piercings. I would have to be in hiding or possibly get murdered. So when I look at this situation, I have empathy because I have human empathy. Understand me? I have human empathy. But I can't just jump into something. And when I did try to speak on it, I got text messages from some of my friends like, you need to not say that. You need to point this out. And this, at this point, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna, I'm just, hey, well, what help me help you. Help me know what's going on. You know? And some people will say, there's not an oppressed, there's an oppressor. And that's very true. And I'm not saying that that's not the case. which is why I'm doing this very report. But at the same time, you killing babies, flying in on parachutes and gas tanks, that ain't right either. It's all fucking wrong. It's all wrong. And I feel like, this fight has been going on for so long before we were even here. You're welcome, Keish. Thank y'all for the support over the years, because y'all done dealt with me with some shit through technical difficulties, bad sound, but y'all still here. So I appreciate y'all. But there's a saying, you see it online. This is above my pay grade. I will support you in any way that I can, but I just don't know. I think the correct thing is I don't know what to say. And if I do say something, you tell me that that's out of order and that's wrong. So I don't know what to say. So the thing is, if I don't know what to say, I was taught by my mother, if you don't have nothing nice to say, or you don't know what to say, or you don't have nothing of value to bring to the conversation, shut the fuck up. It's very simple. So that's where I'm at with that. But it's a lot. Donald Trump, he got held in contempt of court for violating the gag order. Once again, water is wet. He got fined $9,000, drop in the bucket. What else is new? Moving on. Now, let's get to this breaking news with Joe Biden. So, President Biden on Wednesday called longtime ally Japan xenophobic, along with China and Russia, blaming their economy's recent performances on racial prejudice. The president made those remarks during an off-camera fundraiser to mark the beginning of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Washington, D.C., 3 weeks after he hosted Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and his wife for an elaborate state dinner at the White House. You know, one of the reasons why our economy is growing is because of you and many others. Why? The president said, because we welcome immigrants. We look to the reason. Think about it. Why is China stalling so bad economically? Why is Japan having trouble? Why is Russia? Because they're xenophobic. They don't want immigrants. Immigrants are what makes us strong. Not a joke. That's not hyperbole. Because we have an influx of workers who want to be here and contribute, this community's vote will be critical in from Virginia to Georgia to Nevada. I know we could do a lot together, a lot more. Two things can be true. What Joe Biden said could be very true. But also, too, bad fucking timing. Bad timing. We are in two conflicts that don't have shit to do with us. And you want to attack and throw shade at one of the allies that we have after we already in hot water for helping Israel. Like, and this is why when election times come around, when campaign season comes around, I still am so annoyed that in a country that is as diverse as America, that the only two people that this country felt were good enough to vote for were two old ass white men. Exactly, Aaron. He should have kept that shit to himself. This is like you did that. That did not have to be said. Not now. Like you didn't have to. You didn't have to say all of that. That was not necessary at all. What political advantage does that give us? What political advantage does that give you? This is just wild to me. Like, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're killing me, Smalls. You got an election coming up, what, in 4 months, 5 months? 5 months, 6 months, I'm sorry. Somewhere around there. And this is what you have to say? Really? One last thing. I just can't because I just can't, y'all. I just can't. One last thing, we got to talk about Moscow Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a damn psycho. She's a psycho. It is she's a psycho. It ain't no other way to put it. It ain't no other way to spell it. She's a psycho. Now, you know they passed that rule where it only takes one person to bring a vote to the floor um, to oust the speaker. Okay. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is dissatisfied with Mike Johnson. Now, Mike Johnson is not my favorite person. Mike Johnson has a very sinister quality about him to me. And however, he has helped get some legislation out that is largely bipartisan. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't like that. Republicans don't like that for the most part. But also, too, and it's so funny watching the Republicans on television when it comes to this issue, is they sick of her shit. They sick of her shit. They are sick of her shit. Okay. So Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to call a vote to oust current Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And even you really going off the deep end when sleazy Matt Gaetz is saying, "Bitch, calm down, calm down." You're in the middle of an election year. This is how I know she's not serious. This is what happens when you have people who don't have real government or not even government, but governing experience of how to deal with people sitting in these seats. You are in the middle of an election year with your candidate, your presumptive nominee, on criminal trial. Y'all ain't really getting a lot of shit done. And you want to call a vote to oust the Speaker of the House from your party in the middle of an election year. Like, hold on, Holiday. Bring that, rewind. Rewind. I really am starting to think. At first, I thought she was just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and a certified nut. But I'm really starting to think that she is an agent of Russia. She's she's an agent of Russia or she's a part of some terrorist cell that we don't know about that just wants to like bring everything down. I don't know. But This lady is not serious. She is incredibly problematic. She never has any. You know, the thing that bothers me, I think, the most is she never has a solution. It's always just chaos. There's never a solution to the problem. There's never a why don't we do this? There's never a a plan. Like, bitch, you don't never have a plan. Like, what is the plan, Marjorie? Okay, what is the plan? Your plan is chaos. She's not a serious person. She's just not. And I am in a place where I feel like we're living in not the end of the world, but like the end of American greatness for whatever it's worth. And for my generation, that's very hard to swallow. For the kids who were born in the 80s, early 90s, we got to see the last remnants of the best of America. I say that all the time, and that's really what I started writing my new album about, shameless plug, although it wasn't. We got to see the height of American capitalism, American excess, and American greatness for what it's worth. That's our childhood. Our adulthood is watching it crumble. We went from Total Request Live with Carson Daly to September 11th. Then the housing market crashed in 2008. Then COVID. The unraveling of Roe versus Wade. 2 global conflicts. Cost of living being astronomical. Bright and sunny LA where dreams come true becoming a hotbed for homelessness and drug addiction. I saw Silicon Valley, San Francisco, in a span of 8 to 10 years, go from a place where art thrived, outsiders could become insiders, culture thrived, to becoming a holding cell for untreated mental illness, astronomical costs of living. And I think we need to think about how that weighs on our psyches, how that's impacting us and the human condition. You know, I oftentimes struggle during the show because and I think I want to start doing it live a lot more because your comments help lift me up. They really do. I love seeing the interaction in the chat, but my schedule is so volatile, to be quite honest with you. Sometimes I gotta pre-tape. But I often struggle during this show because it seems like the world is in a state of bad news. And what you take in ultimately becomes who you are. And I think our take on the human condition is just different now. We are all changed. from the pandemic to everything that's going on. Like, think about it, right? So a lot of folks work from home. They don't want to go back in the office at all. They're given every reason in the book not to go in the office. And it's wild to me that people are avoiding human interaction. We're turning ourselves into robots. For all of my comic book geeks out there, Magneto was right. And while doing this show can be challenging to my personal mental health at times, it is at the same time, oddly enough, therapeutic because I get to talk to y'all. Y'all have really been friends to me, whether you know it or not, over the years. And I don't know how I would have made it through the pandemic without you because I lived alone. I didn't have any family with me. I was in the house by myself the entire pandemic. And it was through talking to y'all, albeit we was cracking up at them books and Trump and all of that stuff. Y'all really helped me get through a lot, a lot. And I thank y'all for that. And we still got a lot to get through, you know? Um, but I think we all need to check on each other and figure out how we are going to improve the human condition. And I'm gonna stop getting all touchy feely and all that because I'm starting to feel like, ooh, that whole thing. But every now and then we have a real moment. But with that being said, that's our show for today. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for the super chats and tuning in. We'll resume again next Wednesday. I hope everybody has a great Cinco de Mayo. If you want to contribute to the channel, you can do that. Cash App or Venmo at Dapper Damitis. All donations are welcome and accepted. But I would do this without any of it, regardless. But y'all have a great rest of your week. It's Friday tomorrow, y'all. Ow! And it's in the 80s and the 90s here in the DMV. But then it's gonna be 60, bitch, on Saturday, 66. Like, this is the shit I be talking about. But anyway, y'all have y'all have a great weekend. I think I want to start a segment on pop culture. Also, if you're into wrestling, I'm going to be on Black Wrestling Podcast tonight at around 9 o'clock. So join in Black Wrestling Podcast, BLACK Wrestling, RASSLIN. You can go ahead and subscribe there and send them some love, get those views up for them. And I appreciate y'all, love y'all. Y'all have a great, 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 great day, and I will see you next week. Toodles!